You can see the margin 20 spaces out the purple box by 20 margins to the top, down, left, and right, as you can see here. But if you just want the margin to be at the bottom, I'm going to use margin bottom property. I'm going to give it 50 this time around so that you can clearly see the spacing and the line be pushed down even further. Refresh and you can see the spaces up, left, and right have been closed because I only specified the margin bottom to increase. So that is how you use margin. You can also style it differently, maybe top or right, however you choose to do that. It all is up to you, really. I'm going to look at it again now. Mm, Line, backgrounds. Oh, you are still recording? Anyways, I'll still trim it down. Okay, so I'm going to show you um, inline CSS. We are going to use this paragraph tag as a demo. So you just do that by adding the style attribute to your HTML element. I want to change the background color. I want to give it a color of tomato. I don't think there's any color in this world that cannot be used to design anything you want. Let's go to our page, refresh, and our style has been added. So what this inline style does is how it's done is to add the style attribute to whatever element you are trying to style, and then the property, which is background color, and then the value of that styling. You want to give it the tomato color. So that's how it's applied. Obviously, this way is much more organized. I can give the same styling to that element using our style sheet. Let me just get rid of this because by the time we're styling all our elements like this, it will confuse even me that wrote the code. So you should always think of making your work organized. Okay, that p tag now I haven't given it a class, so it will be kind of hard to select it. If I say all p tags should have that background color of tomato, if I just say p tags should have tomato as background color, you see it just select all the p tags in the world and give you that background color. That is why selectors are important, so that if you want a particular element to be selected for styling, you can use that style name or ID to style it differently. Let me just say, remember our selector is that dot notation, unique P. I can just simply use this, or it does not work. Oh. Maybe I didn't get the spelling right. What did I call it? Unique P and P. Unique P. This P here. Fresh. It works. So you select it using the dot notation. Moving on, if you want to talk about the border, because we have not really talked about border, I'll show you how border is done. And when you are using border, you have to give three properties, which includes the size of the border you want or the thickness of the border. I want it to be solid. It can be dotted, it can be dashed. And then I want the color tomato. Now let's take a look at it. You can see the border has been given. Border is basically surrounding that element, and that element includes, you know, in our previous lessons we talked about how p tags are block level elements. That means they take up the whole line. That means anything that comes after them will be beneath them, and so on, unless specified otherwise. So the whole element has taken that border of tomato. Let's increase the thickness of that border so that you can see the importance of these three values. Let's say I give it a 10 pixel. You can see the thickness of the border has increased. Let's say we don't want a solid line, we want dashed. The lines are dashed. And we want another color, say in maroon. Is maroon a color? This is maroon. Maroon. Yeah, this maroon. So yeah, this is the importance of those three values of the border property. Give me a better definition of that. Which one is legal color values? Oh, now let's see legal color values. Hexadecimal colors. FF0000 is red. Hmm. Now let's try this so that you can see what it does. I'm just going to copy this color. They say it's red, so let me just see if that's the actual color. I'm going to give it to this our unique border. No. I want to give it to something that let's say this thing don't dey hang. Let's say the color. We want the color to be this hex decimal that we picked from W3 schools, which is this one here, and they said it's red. So when we refresh this our welcome to our web is supposed to change, right? And that's what happens. It changes to red. So they are correct. Let me remove this so that it does not confuse me. Go back and refresh. Changes to red. Good. But then we're going to look at the RGB values as well, because that one is also very popularly used. And the reason why I like to use them is you can add transparency, hue, saturation, and lighting as well. That's another way of picking your colors. Now, RGB colors, red, green, and blue, the main primary colors. And how it is done is with the RGB function, you open and close your bracket, and then you now impute the numerical value, the amount of red, green, and blue you want in that color. That is how it's being made. You know that in your primary colors, other colors are basically made, secondary and tertiary colors, they are basically made using the RGB colors. So how to make those other unique colors is by adding the amount of red, green, and blue you want. So you need to be very conversant with color combinations. RGBA colors, they will add the alpha after the RGB values. And the alpha is number between 0.0 to 1.0. 0.0 for fully transparent and 1.0 to fully opaque. That means it goes from transparent to fully opaque. Yes, another mode is the HSL colors, hues, saturation, and lightness. All these are just big grammar basically, but any color you need, you can always find them. I think there's a color palette where you can select colors for websites. You can select any color you want. You can select anyone basically. If you say use this light blue you want to use or this navy, why not? Just copy the code. How can I copy this thing now?